And because I allowed myself to grieve, and because I allowed myself to accept that the past wasn't what I thought it would be, I allowed my future to become what I dream. Hey everyone, Allison Gardner here. Today I want to talk about grief. Now, a few weeks ago I talked about having a feeling day, and that I couldn't quite be that I was accountable for what I said, but that I couldn't really control what would come out because it was a feeling day and I was feeling things. Well, last night was a grieving day. Now, depending on what streams of thought and who you listen to, either grieving is just a natural part of life and you do it, or you put it off as long as you possibly can, you bottle it up as much as you possibly can, and you put it off until it finally comes out of you and explodes because it can't be held in anymore. As someone with the kinds of struggles that I've been sharing with you guys the past few months, I never wanted to grieve because in my mind, my life wasn't hard enough to grieve. Grieving meant that I had grieving in this sense. So there's the grieving when you lose someone. And then there's also grieving over a mistake, or mourning a lost opportunity, or just hurting because circumstances in your life hurt. And for me, I always thought that that was a bad thing. I thought that that wasn't where you spend your time. You need to be positive, you need to be moving forward, and you need to put your best foot forward all the time because you needed to be able to be there for other people. And for me, growing up, grieving was equated to self-pity. That life was too hard and you just need to look on the bright side. And you needed to be optimistic and you needed to be positive. And that even if you did share something hard, there was then a very quick follow-up of why your life was still good. And yesterday, I do know why. I will be turning 30 years old in a couple months. And I am both incredibly thrilled with that idea. I am excited for the things ahead, and I am excited for the adventures that I'm going to go on. I also feel kind of weird. Live in Utah. Live in Latter-day Saint culture. And being 30 without kids is also viewed kind of weird. And there's so much that I could say, and I'm trying to decide what to say. I have miscarried a number of children. And it's hard when I see other people with little babies, and just know that that's not the stage of life that I'm in right now. And not that I'm even necessarily... Now, I know that everybody says that you're never ready for kids, and I get that, but because of life circumstances, that's not been a place where we've actively gone. But it's a place where Heavenly Father has taken me. To know of these sweet children, but to not have them actively engaged in my life on this side of the veil. And usually I can be okay with it. I've gone through the bargaining stage. I've gone through the begging stage. I've gone through the angry stage. I've walked that path, and usually right now I do pretty good. But last week I had a dream that during this pandemic, where no one had really seen me, I got pregnant. I carried to term. I had a little baby, and in this dream, I was showing him to my coworkers. And they were shocked because they hadn't seen me, and everybody was surprised and so excited. And I just remember the feel of having that baby on my shoulder. And you wake up from the dream, you go, wow, that was weird. You don't know what to do with it, and you move on. Because that's all that you can do, is you just keep moving forward, wondering what the significance was, what it was doing there, what to do with it, but you move forward. Well, yesterday, it kind of all just hit. The fact that I'm getting older. I know that 30 is not old. I get that. But for someone who thought she'd be married at 20 and have kids, all of her kids by 30, this life is different than I thought it would be. And someone who looks at the world around me and at times has thought that the second coming would happen tomorrow, and at other times it would happen in 30 years. My heart hurts seeing what's going on in the world right now. And to see the division, to see the anger, to see the vitriol on what seems like all sides, and to see the world that I'm in is so different than what it was 5 years ago. And all of those things hit me last night. Actually, the first one of those things, missing my children, hit me at work. And out of the blue, thank goodness for an empty workroom, I just started crying. I couldn't even tell you what started it. What finished it was the realization I was in a workroom and that anybody could walk in at any moment. And I stopped and I held on to it until last night. And I just felt, pardon the pun, a pregnant pause that was full of so many things, but I didn't know what it was full of. And I wasn't sure what direction to go, and I wasn't sure what to do. And I was watching parodies of all things. I just started bawling. For my children that are very real in my life, but I don't get a hold. For a life different than I thought it would be. For circumstances in the world that have turned so crazy so fast, so different than I thought. And I just cried. But what was so beautiful about those tears is that on the other side of them, I didn't feel empty. I felt open for life. And I felt the possibilities of what could be. And because I allowed myself to grieve, and because I allowed myself to accept that the past wasn't what I thought it would be, I allowed my future to become what I dream. So if you grew up in the never show emotion camp, I hope you'll give it a chance. And if you grew up in the some emotion is okay sometimes, I hope you'll listen to yourself. And that when you need to cry, you let yourself cry. I ended up listening to Hillary Week's Just Let Me Cry on loop last night. Because it's not that I had no hope for the future. It's not that I don't think that wonderful things are coming. But there was a really, very real part of me who was sad over what hadn't been. And if we truly want to move forward in wholeness, if we truly want to have room to love ourselves, you've got to make room, and the best way to make room is to cry. Because it's not just water coming out of your eyes when you cry. It is feelings and emotions and thoughts and guilt and shame and wonder and doubt that all come out. And when you let all of those come out, there's room. There is room to realize that there is a whole world of possibilities and a whole world of beauty and a whole world of joy. And that's what I found this morning when I woke up. I felt light and I felt free to consider new possibilities, because what was had already been, and what can be is still ahead. I am grateful for what was, and I am very excited for what is. And I hope that you guys will join me next time.